اه
هذا العنوان كله
كله صح.
يقول ده عنده انت كما ده سنت فلوري
Sin كنت سيستر نوع هي juga.
هيحس بيدك هتشتغل جوه انك مش كده ده اغلى يعني
اوكي
ده مش غايب
حس بدو قد حس
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. What about you?
Good
Fine,
morning.
thanks. Alhamdulillah.
Good morning.
Good
Ahmed is
morning.
talking, isn't it?
Is the mic is okay? Everyone listen to me very well.
Yeah.
Just we will start after 5 minutes, but until my colleague Karim to join us. First of all, thank you to join us today in the first lecture, Introduction of Climate Change. But before that, there are some of rules we have to mention about it. Yes, hello Karim, how are you? Just I
Hello,
will
Ahmed.
mention. Very good. Yes,
Hello,
I have to
everyone. Yes,
mention.
please go on.
Yes, just I have to mention certain rules that will occur during the fellowship. One of that we have around 16 sessions, and we have attendance every lecture. At least you have to pass around 80% of total number of the session to get a credit certificate from the program. So I think I will let Haneen to introduce Karim to all of you. Actually, we have many other participants who will join us at Karim. If Karim love, we can wait around 3 minutes to start, and then Haneen will start with you.
Hello, everybody. Hope you all can you hear me, right?
Yeah, I can
Yes,
hear you
yes,
clearly.
clear.
Yes.
Okay. My name's Haneen Rajab. I'm Assistant Director for Project Management at Climatic Peace. I'll be joining you at the beginning of every session to introduce the speakers and let you know more about the topic we're talking about today. Joining us today is Karim. Karim is an aerospace engineer and the managing director for renewable energy and entrepreneurship at Matkur Group. He also serves as a UN regional youth advisor and was part of Egypt's first official youth delegation to COP, representing Egypt as a negotiator at COP28, inshallah. Karim has played key roles in shaping global climatic policies, from serving on the COP27 presidency youth task force to regionalizing the UN Rise to Zero campaigns. Recognized as a future sustainability leader and a graduate of the YLF program, he continues to champion sustainable development, youth leadership, and climatic action on both the national side in Egypt and international platforms. He will be joining you today. Are you ready to start, Karim?
Yes, I am ready.
Yeah, thank
So,
you so
shall we
much
start
for
now
being with
or?
us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you,
let's
Hani.
start now. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure you have so much to knowledge to share with us and to teach them. You have a hidden gem with you guys. You should definitely ask him anything if you need more clarification of anything. We'll have an open space for discussion later at the session.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Haneen.
You're
And hello,
welcome.
everyone. And thank you also, Ahmed, for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here with you today. Just want to make sure, which language would you guys prefer, like Arabic or English? And if Ahmed can also tell us, like, what is the language that we are supposed to deliver the session in?
Okay, Karim. We prefer to speak in English because we have many people from different Arab country cannot speak Arabic as us. And
Okay,
we have different accent in the Arab region. You can mix between Arabic and English, but the main language here it will be in English.
okay, perfect. So let me share my screen with you. Can you see it?
Before we start, can we make sure we all mute our mics, please?
So guys, throughout the session, okay, it's very important that you engage with me. I want to see you raise your hands, write questions in the comments and in the chat, so that we make sure that we are all aligned, okay? This is not a one-sided session, so I'm not here to just tell you what you're supposed to know. No, I want you to also tell me what you already know and what else would you like to ask about. And it's let's have it a flexible session. Hopefully, it will have a lot of good information for all of you, specifically for those who are getting introduced to climate change. What is the UNFCCC? What is COP? What are the UN high-level climate champions? And the whole ecosystem around the COPs. So the session is very comprehensive. It's packed with information. But again, I don't care about the quantity of information, but more of the quality. So again, please make sure to use the most out of this session, and hopefully after it, you will have a very clear and different understanding of all the climate topics, okay? So let's start by this questionnaire. Please make sure to scan it and tell me, what are you hoping to get out of this session? So here I want you to write only one or two words to highlight what is the most thing that you want to learn about in this session. And also, maybe if you want to write something, like more detailed, feel free to write it in the chat as well to tell me, like, what do you know about climate change and what exactly would you like to understand in this session? Let me also copy the code for you in the chat. Yes, please scan the code now. Scan the QR code and I will share with you your answers right now. Let me share with you your answers. Okay. How to join UN programs. Learning about climate action. In-depth knowledge about what the rest of the statements is not there. Climate change impact. Learning climate action. Know more about climate. So it looks like most of the questions are general. So I think you guys need like a general intro about climate. I want to ask you also in the chat if any of you has any experience with climate change. Like, have you worked anything related to climate? Have you attended any of the past COPs? If you have like dealt with climate throughout your works and somehow. Shuru is working in the climate change unit. Okay, which unit, Shuruk? Like, is this a governmental entity or a UN entity? Oh, climate leaders semi-final. You are from Muhammad Al Hidawi, I guess. You're from Egypt. You know, like I worked in the first batch of climate leaders with YLF NGO. Okay, very good. Okay, so let's jump right into the session. Apparently, there are some of the participants that want, let's say, introductory information about climate. So we want to make sure that everyone is starting on the same base, okay? So today I'm going to give you a quick history lesson, and then we will dive into some details regarding the COPs, the UNFCCC process, and all the negotiation themes as well. And if we have time, maybe we can jump into a little bit of what is the UN High-Level Climate Champions team and what is the Race to Zero campaign, okay? So it all started back in the 18th century with the Industrial Revolution. You know, before that, humans used to live on basically agriculture. What humans produced was equal to what they consumed, right? And we were living in a kind of a balanced world. So if there were humans living in a certain place, in a certain village, in a certain mountain or any place, maybe if you see the place before humans and then after humans, it will almost more or less be the same. So again, we used to live in harmony with the environment that we live in. We used to be one with the nature. But since the Industrial Revolution, we were able to produce much more than we could use. And we started digging up this kind of matter from the bottom of the earth, which is the fossil fuels. And we found out that when we burn it, it produces energy. And from there, we went on with the Industrial Revolution. So in the beginning, all humans cared about was money, 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 right? So they wanted to grow exponentially. The consumer behavior, let's say, increased like no other that happened in the history of humankind. We started to use much more and produce much more than what we use. We started to spoil the nature, and we started to again grow and get much better in many things when it comes to health-wise, when it comes to financial stability, when it comes to economic development. But that happened on the cost of Earth itself, on the cost of nature and in cost of the climate. So for most of these years, for hundreds of years to come, maybe even until today, we did use to treat Earth as if it is unlimited, right? So you know the mentality of maybe you're at the sea and someone tell you like just throw whatever rubbish you have at the sea. The sea is very big, and when you throw it there, it will disappear. So you are treating it as if it is infinite, as if things go there and it disappears, right? So we used to think that we are the center of the universe, that the Earth is unlimited, that whatever we do, we will not deplete its resources. And again, some people until today, they are treating Earth the same way. But to our surprise, this is not what happened in the end. And Earth started suffering from the increased human activity that is not sustainable and did not take into consideration its resources. So what happened? We have many issues in the climate and in the environmental side, but today we are only focusing on the climate one. Can someone help me and help all of us and tell us what is the climate and global warming challenge that we are facing? Like, why is it caused, and what are the kind of consequences of it? If you want to answer, please raise your hand, and there is no wrong answers, guys. We want to hear everyone and we want to engage together. So please, if anyone wants to answer, feel free to raise your hand. Okay, so you can hear Abish first and then Shah. Abish, please go on.
Hello, good morning. For the global warming, as we all know that due to the human activities that are resulted from factories, from also the burning of fossil fuels that we usually do, the carbon dioxide get increased so much, so Earth becomes warmer and warmer, which affects really the atmosphere layers that are covering the Earth, and they cause the Earth burns from the inside, which is really, you know, affecting the biodiversity, and it melts. It makes the Arctic melts and cause lots of problems.
Amazing. Thank you. So let's hear from Shah.
Okay. Global warming is due to the our behavior first, and bad situation or a bad behavior with the environment. This is make it more inefficient for us, like we see in the picture now. And also this is affect our health and our agriculture impact, and the product we eat, it's somehow more dangerous than we thought because of the air pollution or climatic change.
Very good. Thank you so much, Shah. So Yusuf, go on. Yusuf Saad, can you hear us? So you can go with Muhammad Hidi.
Okay, I want to speak about pollution in my city, Gabes, which located in the southern Tunisia, and its problems conclude all these effects. Gabes pollution in Gabes has devastating effects on marine biodiversity and the environment. Every day, the Tunisian chemical group discharges approximately 10,000 tons of phosphages, a toxic sludge loaded with heavy metals, into the sea, seriously affecting marine ecosystems. 14 studies show that 92% of the city's air pollution comes from the GCT, leading to health problems such as asthma and cancer. 35, the degradation of marine biodiversity is exacerbated by destructive fishing practices and industrial discharges, causing a significant decline in marine species. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Muhammad. It's really nice that you also mentioned the effects in your city and in your country. It's also to make it more relevant to what we're talking about. Thank you. So Ines Fatum, please go on.
Yeah, so global warming for me, I guess it's a long-term rise in the Earth's average surface temperature. And the main cause for this is human activities. Uh, like they can be resulted like as emission of greenhouse gases, for example, carbon dioxide, methane, and how this happens by burning fossil fuels to use it like for electricity, transport, and industry. Also, deforestation and agriculture, such as livestock methane. Uh, and the consequences are catastrophic. They lead to rising sea levels and more frequent heat waves, droughts, floods, and storms. So, if I am to talk about Syria, we didn't have that much of heat waves and droughts over, let me say, the past 10 or over 10 years ago, but this year was a turning point, let me say. We are experiencing more heat waves. Like if we used to have one, we now have two and three and four. The same for droughts. Like we are kinda entering the danger of droughts and lacking water for drinking. Thank you.
Thank you, Ines. Thanks so much. This is also very good that you shared examples from your country. So yeah, amazing. Thank you. Noor Bahgat.
Yes. Hi, Karim. I hope you are well.
Yes, all is good. Noor from Zuel, right?
Yeah.
Nice to
Nice
see you.
to meet you. Yeah. No one mentioned the greenhouse gases effect in details. It's the major effect or cause or reason for the global warming. So I can mention it.
Yes.
Simply, the greenhouse gases effect in natural situation, the sunlight across the earth, then reflected, absorbed. Some are absorbed and some are reflected. We have some gases like carbon dioxide, methane, CH4, nitrous oxide, and fluorinated gases. This These gases don't allow the sunlight to re-emitted, okay, from the earth, so they cause effect, or let's say the greenhouse gas effect, making the earth warmer and increase the degrees, okay, so let's say I think I made it I made
It's
it
clear.
difficult to understand.
No, it's clear. I will summarize anyways all of what you all said, so it's fine. It's important that
Yes.
you mentioned the greenhouse gas effect. No one talked about it.
Finally it makes like a cover on the earth, make it higher degrees or thermal degrees, affecting the ice or glaciers melting, so affecting the sea level or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much, Noor, and thank you everyone that shared regarding this point. We will have a lot of interventions throughout the session, so we need just to move on from this one, and then we'll open the floor again. Okay. So summarizing what all of you have shared, again, global warming has been happening, and according to data and statistics, it is clear, and also from the scientific conclusions, it is clear that it is happening due to the human activity. So one of the main points of debate is whether this is a natural process or this is something that is induced by humans. So some people argue that this climate change happens naturally. What do you think about this? You can write in the chat. Is climate change natural or human induced? Like, does it happen without humans or with humans? Or is it induced? Both? Natural? Okay. Very good. Most of the people are saying both. So if you watched cartoon when you were a little bit younger, probably you heard about the movie Ice Age, right? So we already know that well before humans, there was an ice age. And also, if you look even before that, there was a time on Earth where Earth had much more heat than this, and the temperature was much more than this. So the changing of climate of the Earth is a natural process. It happens all the time. It's not about humans. Sometimes the Earth gets more hot, it gets more cold throughout a certain period of time. The key here is how fast this happens. This happens over millions of years, the changing in the Earth's climate. And when this happens over millions of years, Earth gets to adapt. The ecosystem gets to adapt. We have the whether whatever species that are living, they will start to change. They will start to adapt. All the species, all the plants, the whole ecosystem will adapt to the changing ecosystem. If you, for example, if you have seen the elephants back in the day in the cold ice age, they used to have fur around them, and then they lost that when it got more hot. So this is what we call adapting. The challenge and the problem is what? The climate change that is happening today, that is happening in the last 200, 300 years, it is caused by human activity. It is not a natural process. Therefore, there is no time to adapt. There is no time to change. Imagine that Alexandria, for example, one of the coastal cities in the world, like we have many coastal cities, it's being drowned by the increasing sea level. If this is happening over a million years, it will not be a problem. You know, like during our lifetime, we will not notice that. We will just relocate, right? But if it happens in 10, 20, 30 years, no, we will not have time to relocate. It will be a big problem, and we will not have time to move people from there. So, in a nutshell, climate change as a concept is a natural process, but the problem we are having today is because it is happening in a very short time because of human action. And why is that happening? Why is there global warming? Also, like Noor and all of your colleagues shared, it is due to the greenhouse gases, what we call greenhouse gases, and mainly the CO2. What happens is we produce a lot of fumes like this one, right? And it goes into the air, and it increases the percentage of CO2 in the atmosphere. So what happens is, imagine today's temperature is 30 degrees Celsius. The natural cycle of climate in the earth is that in the morning, sun heats the earth and it sends rays, and at night, the earth reflects these rays back into space, therefore it cools down and the cycle repeats. But if we have climate change, what happens is, and if you have greenhouse gas emissions, sun heats the earth in the morning, but at night, some of these reflected rays gets reflected back again on earth. So it keeps on the heat that's received in the morning. And in the second day, it becomes more hot. So if Earth today was 30 degrees Celsius, tomorrow it will be 31, it will be 32. And this compound effect causes what we call climate change. And for your own information, climate change isn't just about having a more warm Earth, but also sometimes colder. So it's about the extreme events in the weather in both sides, okay? So what are the reasons in detail of climate change? You know, like why climate change happens. I want to hear two people, okay? So please feel free to raise your hand. We explained it in detail scientifically, but I want someone to tell me about it, like what actions we do today cause climate change, like how to relate this to our daily life and the actions that we do on a daily basis. Muhammad, yes, please go on.
Okay, so the climate change is caused by many actions. So the most important one is creating projects that cause air pollution and water pollution because of throwing the industrial waste in the sea and because of the huge percentages of gas emissions. Also, by the humans do, like throwing waste in the earth because in the place of rubbish. Also, I have the other causes like overgrazing and overfarming, which cause the desertification. Also, the most one is the cutting trees that reduce the quantity of oxygen and the lack of green spaces.
Very good. Thank you so much. Let's hear from Yusuf.
Oh, before we start that, we have to understand that we must invest in mitigation plans. Okay, so along with that, we have to understand that the three main sectors that provide or emissions greenhouse gases, it's energy, transportation, and agriculture. These are the main investment in mitigation. I think that's the main problem, not anything else. Because if we stop it from the main source, we could easily not invest in adaptation plans.
Okay, so thank you, Yusuf, for sharing. This is also a very nice insight regarding adaptation mitigation. We'll get to that in a minute. But again, I just wanted to take two participants this time, and I will hear from the rest in the next parts. So, what causes climate change is any activity that produces greenhouse gas emissions. Any activity, okay? So that activity being fumes coming from manufacturing, okay? Car emissions, sure. Also CO2 from electricity. So if you use electricity and it doesn't come from a renewable resource, it will cause climate change, and it will help or unfortunately it will cause the rising temperature of Earth. Also, when we do something exactly the opposite, which is deforestation. So deforestation, it removes CO2 from the air. If we remove the forests, it's kind of removing the Earth's lungs, right? I think this is one of you touched on this point, but I would like to hear from you. One of you can share, like, what excessive raising of animals has to do with climate change. So all of these make sense. They produce CO2, but what does this have with climate change? Thank you, Yusuf, for raising your hand. But it would be nice to also hear from someone else, and then we can get back to you. Someone maybe that hasn't participated before. Ravish, yes, please.
Okay. As we as we all know that the excessive raising of animals would impact and result into the excessive eating of grassy plants, which are very vital for absorbing the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Plus, the excessive raising of animals would also result in the accumulation of animals' waste, which also, they produce methane. So it's one of also the greenhouse gases that would also, impact on the global warming.
Very good. Thank you, Ravish. Yes, Noor, please go on.
Yes, the animals making a waste containing methane and nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide is a triple effect, has a triple effect of the carbon dioxide,
Okay,
making, yes, the effect of the greenhouse gas as we talk.
amazing. Thank you so much, Noor, and thank you, Ravish, and everyone that commented also in the chat. I did read your comments. It's very good. So one thing that animals do is producing some poisonous gases, but specifically methane, which is CH4 for our chemistry guys here. So methane is more effective on increasing or causing global warming than CO2 by 25 times. 25. So it's much more effective on that. And usually the livestock and the animals, they like specifically the cows, they produce a lot of methane during the process of raising them. And on a big scale, so if you look back in the day, humans didn't use much meat. They didn't eat as much meat as we eat today. So this is causing also an increased emissions and a big factor in causing climate change as well. So we need to cut this down a little bit and maybe rely more on other forms of meat rather than like cows and stuff, because this is the most polluting one. So if you have heard about all of this, you might say that, okay, so let's stop this, let's stop the emissions, right? But the thing is that each one of us is responsible. So can someone tell me what is a carbon footprint, and if any of you have calculated it before? Someone did unmute. Can you please mute and raise your hand if you want to speak? So does any of you know what's carbon footprint? No, it can be true that none of you doesn't know what's carbon footprint. This should be a basic information, guys. We are entering much more technical information in a bit. So I hope that at least one of you knows what's the carbon footprint. Okay, Muhammad Nasr, please go on. And thank you so much, Yusuf, for being active. I just want to hear from someone new, and I will get back to you. Yes, Muhammad.
Transport total carbon footprint is amount of total carbon greenhouse gases and the result from transportation like daily transport. CO2 is the result from daily transport and electricity, as you will say in the last slide, and industry and the production in industry result from carbon footprint.
Very good. Thank you so much, Muhammad. Thank you for participating. Let's hear from Anwar, and then we'll hear from the rest in the next minutes.
Maybe it's the equivalent of the carbon emissions and the greenhouse gases that are being generated out of certain activities.
Very good. Thank you, Anwar. Thank you, everyone who raised their hand. So let me explain this very quickly, and then we can hear from you in the next points, okay? So carbon footprint is like when you see in the movies, and they want to see someone, like who walked in here and who caused a problem. They try to see the footprint. So a footprint means, in this sense, it means what is the effect that you left after you that is lasting in the, let's say, crime scene, okay? So carbon footprint is the footprint that you leave as a human, individual human, okay, after you leave from the activity that you have done. So when we see all of this, most of you, or not most, all of you use electricity, drive cars. Maybe I would be like surprised if anyone did deforestation, but I hope no one did. Use products for manufacturing. So all of the activities that we do on a daily basis, they cause emissions. So you can calculate your emissions. There are many programs online and many websites online to help you do that. And you can see that according to my lifestyle as an individual, I do produce, for example, 100 tons of carbon dioxide per year. And you can start to put a mitigation plan for that and try to cut down a little bit the emissions that you have. You can do that by, for example, using less polluting transport. Maybe if you can ride a bike to your school or your work, if you can use a reusable bottle instead of plastic bottles, you can try to implement renewable energies in your workplace or in your school or university, and so forth. So it's very important that although top-bottom approach is very important, but also bottom-up approach is very important to, like see how each individual contributes and how to avoid this challenge. Okay. So a very, very good question. We mentioned here that climate change has been happening since 1733, right? Why now? So this has been happening from your great grandparents due to the Industrial Revolution. Why should we care now? And why should we act today? Why not 100 years ago? Why not 200 years ago? And why not in the next 50 years? Why not leave this for our children, maybe, or maybe our grandchildren, so that they can like mitigate this? Why specifically now? So we can hear from Shahd and then Noor. Yes, Shahd, please go on.
From point of my view, I see that there is a lot of problem happen right now, so we get more attention to the climatic change. So we should take a step to make the earth more sustainable for the other generation.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shahd. Yes, Rabish and then Ghadir.
I can reflect it on my country, Yemen. And now people, due to the climate change, people start to fight back and make conflicts over water resources. And I believe there are lots of water resources have drained out because of climate change. Lots of crops died. Now we can see that in each city there is, for example, a well, and let's say almost 4 or 5 villages are depending on this well. So lots of conflict happens, over this well, because everyone would like to have their own share of water. So I believe these problems are happening due to climate change. So conflicts are resulted due to climate change.
Very good. Thanks so much, Rabish. I think we can move on from this one again because we have a lot of still information to share, and then I will get back to the rest of you guys. Okay. And thank you for, again, it's very good when you share ideas from your hometown, right? It's very beneficial to reflect it on where you live and like what you have experienced yourself. Sure, the Mr. Director, Ahmed, please go on.
First of all, thank you, Karim. I think right now we started to affect by the climate change. When we go on our street, we find it's very hot. When we do something and we don't find a water. One time when I was in Switzerland, some people from China said the people or the not the people, the man in their families, they are going to the cities because they don't have enough water in their village. So right now we started to affected by the climate change. But I have to add that in the chat box, we have many messages from the participants about your questions if you want to take a look during your lecture.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. Yes, I can see them. So just Salma, did you know how to raise your hand now or not yet? And they're all very good examples. Okay. But again, some people said that we are starting to see the effects now. So maybe something that is more accurate is the effects of climate change have been happening throughout the past hundreds of years, but it's becoming much more severe now. Okay. So imagine maybe someone that is or like was drinking cigarettes during his whole life and he's now in his 50s. So the effects of cigarettes didn't happen when he was at 50, maybe when he had a heart attack or something. But today it is urgent, right? You can imagine this way. So it would have been much better if we stopped it 50 years ago, if we stopped it 100 years ago, but today it is very critical, right? And there is something very critical that is happening, right? By 2030, we'll get to that at the last point. But again, the greenhouse gas emissions at our own time high, they have never been higher than today. We have almost 1 million species that are facing extinction, and this is huge effect on the ecosystem. The oceans are dying due to plastic pollution, due to the increased heat, the coral reefs. We also consume much more than we can renew, so we can't keep up this habit. And we have a refugee crisis. So I would like to hear from you regarding these 2 points. Want one of you to explain to me what does the refugee crisis has to do with what we have today, and also why are we saying irreversible by 2030? Why specifically 2030? Why not 2025? Why not 2035? So yes, Muhammad, go on.
So we know because the carbon footprint increase, so that we observe in our world, there is a huge consumption of products. Also, the waste, the food waste that cause the increase of methane gas that cause climate change. Also, because of wars, we observe the increase in the percentage of refugees. And because of transport means like cars and many others that cause the huge percentage of carbon. And because of the advanced technology that cause many gas emissions and a huge consumption of carbon.
Okay, amazing. Thank you, Muhammad. We can hear from Yusuf.
Okay, if you want, Karim, can others share? If you want,
you can share what?
You can someone talk. Yeah, take a chance talk. If you
someone else, yani?
Yeah, Salma, like, or Muhammad, anyone, because I share a lot.
Someone new. Sure,
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
So Salma, please go on. Let's hear from new people.
So let's start with the first point, the refugee crisis. So I think that's really there is a reaction between climate change and refuge. Like it, as you said, it can rise sea levels, desertifications. So people will be forced to leave their homes. And for the second point, scientists are talking about warming below 1.5, and now I think we are 1.2. So it's time to act for the climate change.
Very good. Thank you so much, Salma. I think we can hear from Muhammad Nasr, and then we will get back to you, Muhammad Al-Hidawi, in the next points, okay?
I will say why 2030. Because government usually set long-term strategy over 10 to 15 years, and less time, not enough to serial impact. More time, like 2050, feel too far. People want to be motivated, and 2030 is balanced year, close enough to push action for enough to allow big change. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Muhammad. So regarding the refugee crisis, some of you mentioned this correctly, which is, imagine that some of the coastal cities, they drown underwater. So we have what we call climate refugees. They are refugees due to the climate change problem, okay? And that also happens if we have scarcity of water, like some of your colleagues have shared as well. Sometimes we have depletion of water resources. So we have people that needs to move due to climate. Some islands, they sink also, or they get, they sink because of the rising sea level. So they need to relocate and they need to leave their homes. So that's also called climate refugee. And this is kindly today not on a very big scale, but in the upcoming years, it's gonna be on huge scales. Imagine like big water resources being depleted. Imagine big cities facing flooding. It will cause huge refugee crisis. The last point, which is a very, very important point, which is irreversible by 2030. I think your friend here also mentioned the 1.5 degree target, and this is a very good point. We'll get to that in a minute. But imagine, so there is a very famous term that is used in the climate scene, which is called the tipping point. Tipping point, or I'm not sure what it's called in Arabic, but I will explain it to you. So imagine there is a mountain, okay, and you are climbing this mountain. When you are climbing, it takes energy and it's a little bit hard to climb, right? But when you reach the tip of the mountain or the hill, and then you move to the other side, you just slide. It's like a slippery slope, right? So this is what we mean by irreversible by 2030. We are currently facing a lot of challenges, but these challenges are hard to reach. You need to do a lot of emissions. But after you cross a certain point, it will the effects of climate change will be much more severe and much more dangerous. And even if you stop the emissions by then, you would have irreversible damage to Earth. Okay, so the scientists have identified this point by saying that you shouldn't, by saying to all humans, you shouldn't cross the 1.5 degrees Celsius, and that you should do this before 2030. And this is done by forecasts, by studies, okay? So this is why it's very important now. So again, the mentality that we need to have is we have been carried for so long by this earth, but maybe today we need to take care of Earth, right? So Abdullah, do you have an intervention? Do you want something?
لا نخدم هما يقروا حسابات.
Muhammad, Hidi, can you please mute?
Yeah, Mr. Karim, hi.
Hello.
Just you ask about why now and why not in 2035? I think that we have to talk about climate change effect now because we need to discover a best solution for the climate change effects and the problems, and also until 2035 we can guide or give advice to people about the solution or how can uh, climate change effects in our life and give them advices to reduce the problems from climate change. Uh, I think that is best way to talk it about now.
Very good. Thank you so much, Abdullah. Thank you for participating. So now we finish the intro and now we get into more details. Okay. I don't know if you guys know this meme or not, like the one that says, just do it. So what we have identified in the previous part of the session is that there is a problem that's called climate change and global warming, right? This problem is caused by humans and human activity, and it is because of the emissions. So in order to solve this, most of you will say, let's just stop the emissions. Let's change our lifestyle. Let's just do it, right? Let's just solve it. Since we know the problem, we know the solution, why not just do it? So can you guys, any of you, tell me what's so challenging about it? Why are we having this session today? Why haven't we solved it already? Yusuf, please go on, and then Ghadir.
Okay, we have major problem that the top 10 country emissions that include USA, China, India, Brazil, other country, UK. Most of them, if they cut the emissions or reduce it, that will reduce the economy or the amount of money they will have. And China, they use like, I don't know what's called, faham? Coal. Yeah, coal. Yeah. And the fossil fuel like that. So these are the main problem that now when we negotiation with them.
Very good. Very good intervention. Thank you so much, Yusuf. There was someone that keeps raising, I think it was Ghadir. You keep raising your hand and then you
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
say something? Yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I do want to say something. So I think it's the same reason that my colleagues say now. Now big companies want, they want to reduce their emissions, that they're gonna lose their economy. So the problem is they don't have alternatives. I can see now Brazil and Latin American, they're trying to do with the renewable energy and see if there is an alternative, but they can't because it will affect their economy. And even though it's cheaper, but the amount of money they are getting from like these emissions, they're not using these emissions specifically, they're using other things that relate to happening to these emissions. That's what I want to say. So these are the problems that have started to happen, and they depend on fossil fuels. Much of our energy, transport, and industry still rely on coal, oil, and gas, and high cost to start. There have been years since they start to use like fossil fuels and others. So shifting to renewable energy or sustainable system often requires a big investment.
Very good. Thanks so much, Ghadir, for the intervention. We can move to Muhammad and then Yemen and then, yeah, we'll see. Muhammad Hidewi, he raised his hands first.
Hey, Kariam, I hope you're doing good.
Thank you.
I just think that the problem that we are facing with not doing it, it's mainly focusing on the awareness problem or how it is affecting our economy, the way that even big companies or companies that have some sort of authority to do something that can change the environmental impacts that is are happening that is happening. They didn't having their responsibility to make that change. Thinking about what Vadir already told us, that they are affecting their economy or affecting their cash flow. So we need like some policies implementing or that they can be implemented or them so they carry some of them responsibilities, such as the extended responsibility policy that we are kind of trying to implement them here in Egypt
Very good.
for
Thank you so much.
production companies.
Very good. Thanks so much, Muhammad. I think I can share with you here today my perspective, and then I will get to the rest of the participants. We still have another question soon, okay? And it's good to hear from new participants as well. So, why are negotiations hard? And what is negotiation? We'll get to that. But before that, why don't we just solve the issue? Why don't we just do it? As some of your colleagues shared, our whole system is designed on fossil fuels today. It is designed on petrol, on diesel, on gas, on coal. So these are one of the most or the biggest reasons for emissions. It is as if it's a question of to buy something that is more expensive but helps the environment, or to buy something that is less expensive and hurts the environment, right? So sometimes it's also a question of what is cheaper, what is more economic, and what is already being used. So imagine if I tell any of you to stop using fossil fuels and to install maybe renewable energy, but you will have to pay, for example, $10,000. I don't think that most of you would do it because they say, like I wouldn't pay as much to save the environment, unfortunately. So this is what most of the countries do. But what we found out that on a larger scale today, some of these solutions are more economic and they are turning out to be much more feasible. But still, people don't do it. In order to do it, not only one can do it alone. We need to do it all together. So there is a game that I usually do in the session, and it's a really fun game. But unfortunately, will not be able to do it online. I prefer to do these sessions offline. But anyway, I will tell you what is the wisdom behind it. I do this game, I get 5 volunteers from the people attending the session, and I tell them that we will play a game that's called Share or Greed. This game is like the following. I tell them that if you all do this sign with your hand, it means that you share. You agree to share. If you do this sign, you agree to greed. Or you choose to greed. If all of you pick share, okay, you will get, each of you will get, for example, $10, okay? If all of you pick share and only one picks greed, the only one that picked greed will get $50. If more than one picks greed, no one gets anything. And for example, if 2 picked greed, no one will get anything. So most of you will think that the most optimum thing to do is that everyone does share and that we all get $10. What happened in the last 10 sessions that I did, and I wasn't agreeing with anyone. I got random volunteers, 5 random people. Always at least one person does greed. And when the person does greed, he definitely takes all of it. So maybe also sometimes it's in our human nature to not do share, to greed. So I want to take more, even if that means that the others won't get anything. And this is not something that is good. So imagine this same game of share or greed, but it's done in the United Nations, between 196 players from different cultures, from different agendas, from different backgrounds. They do actually play this game in this hall. This is the UNFCCC, and this is the COP. This is the negotiations. They sit together and they say, what do you think about increasing renewable energy in your country? Let's increase renewable energy to 50%. And in order for this to work, we need everyone to press share from here, from this, like everyone in their seat, right? But what happens is that they don't do that. Some people press greed, and by pressing that, they make it harder for other people to move to a cleaner alternatives, right? So unfortunately, this happens. And remember that in most of the sessions, for example, that I do, the 5 volunteers that I do, they are playing a game. They don't have to press greed, right? And they're also from the same culture. They're from the same age group. They're from the same, most probably, like mentality and everything. But at the end of the day, they still do that. So imagine in the actual negotiation, we have the USA, we have China, we have Russia, we have EU, we have African countries, we have islands. Everyone with very different mentality, very different resources, very different circumstances, not equal in any way, they are voting together. So that's why the negotiations are hard, and that's why we didn't solve the problem until today. Okay, so I hope this example clarified why is it hard and what is the negotiations itself. So there is a light of hope. It hasn't been as bad regarding the negotiations. Okay, so can you tell me what are the major milestones that happened in the UNFCCC negotiation? And then I will tell you what is the UNFCCC and everything. But what is like the biggest milestones that happened in all of this process? Like what is the biggest achievement or a good thing that happened out of this negotiation process? Can any of you tell me? Muhammad, please go on.
Okay, after negotiations, the countries and the people hope for a green and clean world without any poverty, any famine, also without wars, and investment in clean energy, green agriculture, and also by clean investments, and remove all the polluted industries. Thank you.
Thank you, Muhammad. So, Yemen, please go on.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, I don't have much information about what's the result of the negotiation, but I have two things to share. That one of them that's I recently learned that there's a policy or an agreement where all the countries have signed to limit their carbon emission for each country, and this is something that's at least facilitate or could control the carbon emissions around the world, especially when it comes to industry, technologies, and etc. So this is something that I found very good, and I think also like the merit of the Triple C is also like to raise the awareness about, hey guys, we have a problem we need to solve, and this is something that for advocacy that people should somehow slowly would understand to come together, also to learn from the other countries and the approaches and the ideas. And since there's a different people, different cultures are coming together, this is something that would be an added value to understand what is the pros and cons and how we could somehow address the challenges faced by at the country level, at the region level, and the global level. So that would be quite a beneficial, but I'm not that informed or updated regarding what's the result of the negotiation. Thank you.
It's very good. Thank you so much. So, Shahd, please go on.
I think the agreement is talking about also the developed country will like give a money or fees for developing country because of the pollution they produce and the factories that it's happen from them, and this is affect the developing country like health, agriculture, and a lot of things in the developing country.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So, again, I will get back to the rest of the questions, but just I want to share with you the most information during the session. So I will continue and then get back to you. So, first off, what is a COP and what is UNFCCC? UNFCCC, CCC, okay? It is the main United Nations body that is responsible for climate change, or it is the main convention or the main agreement that happened under the United Nations for climate change, okay? So the first time that we actually acknowledged the climate change challenge on a bigger and global scale was in 1992. So the rest of the rest of this presentation, guys, is gonna have a lot of very also beneficial information. So it's important to write and note them down. Okay, write them down, note them down. Just for your own information, it will be very beneficial for any of one of you that is engaged in climate. Okay, so the first COP was in Rio, in Brazil, and it was called the Earth Summit. The Earth Summit. This is where they invited all the countries in the world to sit together in a conference to tackle climate change. And this is where they announced the United Nations and they signed the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Or in Arabic, they call it الاتفاقية الإطارية للتغير المناخي. الاتفاقية الإطارية للتغير المناخي. So I hope that explains what this word means. So this is an agreement, okay? Or this is a framework. So what's this framework about? The framework says that, okay, we clearly have a problem. In order to solve this problem, we will meet each year in a different country, and we will discuss actions that we need to do to cut emissions and to solve this climate issue. this conference that we will do each year is going to be entitled Conference of the Parties, COP, Conference of the Parties. Okay, so COP, it means the conference parties is the countries. Yani when we say parties, we mean countries. So it's mainly the conference of the countries. So it's a very simple name. So this is what UNFCCC and this is what a COP means. So they sit together every year, assume that we are in the school, okay, and we found out that there is a challenge or a major problem in the school. So all the students sat together and they signed this agreement, which is called the UNFCCC, and they agreed to sit together maybe every year in a conference of the students, okay, or conference of the parties. So this is the COP. That was the first COP in 1992. And then in 1998, we had the Kyoto Protocol, which was the first agreement to be signed under the COP. And then 2015, the historic Paris Agreement. In COP27 and COP28, we had the conference in Egypt, in Sharm el-Sheikh, and then in Dubai. And today we have the conference in Brazil, which is the COP30 in Belém, in Brazil. So I will dive into a little bit of details in each of these conferences. But before we do that, I want to explain to you a very, very important concept, which is the thematic topics of the conference. So what do we do in this conference? What do we discuss? We don't discuss climate change generally. We divide it into main themes, okay? So I will tell you what are the themes, and then I want you to help me to explain it, okay? We have mitigation, adaptation, climate finance, loss and damage, capacity building and ACE, and technology transfer, okay? So can someone help me explain what are these 5 themes and what is the difference between them?
Can you say it again?
Yes, I will write it down. Mitigation, okay, adaptation, climate finance, loss and damage, ACE, and technology transfer. These are themes that we discuss and we negotiate, okay? When we sit in this COP, when they sit in this conference of parties, we have people that are discussing mitigation. We have people that are discussing adaptation. Others, climate finance, loss and damage. So what are these? What do they mean? I will share with you a very good example after I hear from you first, but let's hear from your colleagues. So Yaman, please go on.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, for mitigation, what I see that's they have forecasted a challenge or then on the climate change, and they sit together to set a goal or practices how to mitigate these risks of the challenges of the climate change. While for the adaptation, it's something that's already happened or happening, and they cannot mitigate or eliminate. So they come together and also discuss what kind of things that they could adapt to the challenge that they are facing caused by the climate change. For climate finance, I don't have much information on that. Loss and damage, I would say that's just to analyze the impact of the climate change and what is the losses and damages that affected or impacted or resulted by the climate change. And the technology transfer, it's also like more into to see how they would leverage the technology development, but at the same time saving or mitigating the climate change issues and impacts.
Very good. Thank you so much, Yaman. Let's hear from Ahmed.
May I say loss and damage only?
Yes, sure.
Loss and damage refer to negative impacts of climate change that is harm already happen. Okay, and the loss and damage are two type: economic loss and damage and non-economic loss and damage. And actually, I studied it in my college, Faculty of Fisheries and Aquaculture in Kafr Sheikh, if you might know. But not in details. I I I studied it yeah on broad, yeah. Okay.
Very good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. This is very helpful. Thank you. Shuru, please go on.
Yes. So I'll just explain the point that hasn't mentioned by my colleague. I'll talk about the climate finance. Climate finance
Yes.
it is the amount of money that is provided by NGOs, private sectors, government to support the other themes, to support mitigation, to support adaptation, to be involved in the developing countries with technologies. The overall, in short, the five themes are interconnected. So we must reduce emissions, adapt to change, support vulnerable people, and empower people with knowledge and technologies, and provide developing countries with the money. So why they are all connected together. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shuru. Thank you for the intervention. Kadir.
Yes, I'm gonna talk about technology because I believe it's our strongest tool to fight climate change. It helped reduce emission. Nobody have mentioned that non-renewable energy is the fastest growing energy source worldwide. So reducing emissions with things like solar panels, wind energy, and electric cars also. It also make our lives more efficient, safer. Like I mean, through smart farming or early warning system, like for floods and storms, or when outbreak diseases happened. But I know technology alone is not enough. That's why we have ICE, which is ICE, which means Action for Climate Empowerment. It's about education, awareness, and that's what we are now looking for. We try to educate people about what's happening and to train them in order when an outbreak disease when there is an outbreak disease, they know how to react and act and to find solution by their own. That's it.
Very good. Thank you so much, Ratir. This is very helpful, and all the colleagues that shared. So they covered all the points. Let me tell you the difference between them in a simple story, okay, or a simple example. So imagine that we are all sitting in the same room, closed room, and we have a car exhaust in the room. The car exhaust, which means the car fumes is getting into the room that we are sitting in. So there is a lot of emissions. One of you might suggest that in order to stop this, because it's getting more hot, it's getting hard to breathe, things aren't easy when that's happening. One of you might suggest, let's close the car exhaust, right? And maybe let's add a filter. This is called mitigation. This is the first five, mitigation. Mitigation in Arabic means takhfif, which is we want to decrease or remove the source of the emission. So this is the theme where we talk about mitigation. So what that translates to in the real world, it translates to removing fossil fuels and moving to more green alternatives like the renewable energy, like wind, like solar, like green hydrogen. So let's move away from the old ways of producing energy and move to the new ones. Let's stop these car fumes. Someone else might say the first thing that will jump to their mind is, since we can't breathe, let's wear face masks because there is a lot of fumes in the air, right? So this idea of thinking is called adaptation, which is takayuf in Arabic, means let's adapt to the situation that we are in. There is fumes in the room and we need to breathe. So let's wear maybe a face mask in order to breathe better. And this line is related to, okay, so we already are facing a lot of challenges. Already the temperature is increasing, the sea level is rising. Let's try to live and adapt to the situation that we have. And it's also very important, this track in the COP negotiation. The third one someone else might say in our room is that, okay, we closed the fume and we wore face masks and we removed the excess emissions, but maybe someone has a child and this child is already got a disease from these fumes. He already got this disease. So you can't mitigate that, you can't remove this disease, or you can't adapt to it. So this is what we call loss and damage. It's something that is lost. It's something that can't be cured. It's a damage, right? So that can be, as your colleague shared, it can be economic and non-economic. So for this case, when it comes to the child, it's non-economic. You can't pay enough money for someone that got a disease from climate, or in the worst case scenario, did die or did face fatal incidents due to the climate change. So this is kind of loss that is non-economical. Economical is that someone that lost their city. Unfortunately, if you have seen also the flooding that happened in Libya, there was a lot of economical and non-economical loss and damage, right? And you can't adapt that. A fourth guy might say, okay, it's nice to close the fumes for the mitigation and to get the air filter. It's nice to buy the face masks. It's nice to do all of this stuff. But how will you do it without the means of implementation, without the money, right? So this is what we call climate finance. So we can say everything that we want. We can say all the recommendations that we want, but without climate finance, we will not have the means of implementation. We will not have the ways to implement this, to do this, right? So climate finance is also very important. The fifth one, which is ACE, or capacity building and technology transfer. And this is what we are doing today. ACE is action for climate empowerment, and under it is called climate awareness, climate education, capacity building, and all of that stuff. So it's very important, as all of the initiatives that you probably will hear about, all the activities that the youth do, all the work that Climatic Peace and all the other organizations work on, they are under the ACE pillar, the climate action pillar, the climate education and awareness pillar. Okay, so this is, in summary, the 5 main pillars, and they're very, very important. Okay. Heads up, this is not related to the UNFCCC or COP, but this is very important because, as you notice, the first COP was 1992. This was 1989. So can someone tell us what's this and what's the Montreal Protocol? Ghadir, do you want to talk about the Montreal Protocol?
No, I have actually no idea about that. It's from the
Okay.
previous one.
Yeah, no worries. Can anyone share with us what's the Montreal Protocol? It's one of the good examples that happened in the world and in negotiations.
Okay, it's kind of related to Nairobi, protecting from ozone layer, like that.
No, but not if you mean by Nairobi in Kenya. No,
Nairobi Protocol, like that. It was in 1985 that held that. I think that's, or 1980, I think.
If you can share with us the link in the chat of what you mean, it will be good to check it. Okay.
Okay, never mind. Yeah.
No. You can search on Google and share with us the link of this protocol.
Because I study it in my college. I study environment science. Okay, so
yes.
I study about legislation and laws about environment, and I think
yes, very good.
Yeah, I
you
think
can find it online if it happened. You can find it on
yeah,
Google.
I think I mixed between the years. Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay.
But thank you for participating. So Shuru and then Noor.
Okay, so in brief, it is agreement, international agreement to protect the Earth zone layer, طبقة الأوزون. That's it.
Thank you, Shuru. So Noor, please go on.
Yes, it's a protocol like Shuruk said in Montreal, Canada. I think the aim of this protocol is protecting the ozone layer or the ozone depletion from the chlorofluorocarbons. They are used mainly in the developing countries, and pheromones in the HCFC, refrigerants, and something like that. So it's a protocol to decrease the effect of these gases or uses of these gases.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Noor. This is also on point. So let me share with you regarding this because we have very little time left and I won't share with you the rest of the agreements as well. But for the Montreal Protocol, again, it was before the climate, it was before UNFCCC. But if you remember, back in the day, we used to hear a lot about ozone layer, the ozone depletion, right? ثقب الأوزون. Where did this all go? So it was a very big challenge back in the day. And we have in the atmosphere and a layer that's called the ozone layer. It's consisted of mainly the O3 gas, oxygen three oxygen molecules together. And this layer, there was a hole that was keep getting bigger in it, and that was causing problems. Like UV rays were started to entering and also increasing the greenhouse gas emission, greenhouse gas effect. I'm sorry. So what happened is that countries did sit together in the Montreal Protocol, and like your colleague said, they decided to cut down and remove that chlorofluorocarbons, all the emissions, the freon gases that caused the ozone layer to get depleted. And actually, it was a success. And today, as we are talking, the ozone layer is getting healed and it's getting recovered again. So this is a very good example that humans can work together. We can all sit on negotiation table together and agree on something and actually save the earth, right? So one of the most important and the first agreement that happened in COP was the Kyoto Protocol. So guys, just to understand, Montreal is in Canada, Kyoto is in Japan. Usually the protocol is named after the city it is made in, okay? So that year, the COP was in Japan, and the Kyoto Protocol mentioned that it was the first agreement related to limiting carbon emissions and related to limiting greenhouse gas emissions. And it was a good success at time because we finally sat together and agreed and all the countries signed it. But the challenge that we faced in the Kyoto Protocol is that it didn't follow through. We did put promises, but we didn't actually follow through with action. We just said words and we didn't implement them. So that brings us to the biggest agreement that happened since 2015 till today. This is the highest point, and you will definitely hear about it everywhere. And this is like one of the most important things that you need to get out of this session, which is the Paris Agreement that happened in 2015. It happened in a very close time to when the United Nations also announced the Sustainable Development Goals. You are definitely all very aware with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So what did the Paris Agreement said? Paris Agreement was a historical one because it was signed by all the countries, 196 countries. They all said share. They all agreed. And they said that we need to reach zero emissions by 2050 and half emissions by 2030. So all of us together, Hassan, can you please mute? If one of the moderators please can mute any participants that doesn't have access. So again, it was signed by 196 countries, which is all the countries. And we agreed that all of us, we want to reach zero emissions. We want to have zero car fumes. We want to have zero carbon dioxide emissions by 2050. And a mid target, which is to reach half emissions by 2030, which is in 5 years from today. So that means a lot of actions needs to happen. That means a lot of coordination together needs to happen, right? And to move entirely from how we used to live to a new, greener, and more sustainable world, right? A very important target that they did set in the Paris Agreement was the 1.5 target. And this is what we discussed earlier today. They said that we don't want to cross the 1.5 degree Celsius. We don't want to get, so 1.5 means if Earth's temperature is on average 30 degrees Celsius, we don't want to get more than 31.5 degrees Celsius. And let's definitely not surpass the 32 degrees Celsius, which is 2 degrees Celsius increase. So this is the main target of the Paris Agreement. Let's all make sure not to increase our emissions by that, okay? So I know that we're almost running out of time, and I want to also leave some time for you to ask questions. I will not dive deep into the COP26 or the COP27. You can read about that because it's a bit more technical details about each COP. But I want to ask, to leave a room for you to ask questions regarding these two agreements because they are very important. And I want to make sure that you understand them very well. They are very, very important. So I will leave, I guess, let's say 5 minutes for the questions. So if you have any question, please write them in the chat or raise your hand. Yemen, please go on.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe one question on the Montreal Protocol. What was the success factor of having this? Because I'm now surprised that we don't have this ثقب الأوزون problem anymore. And we have been in the 19s, we have been heard a lot about ثقب الأوزون, ثقب الأوزون, ثقب الأوزون, and now it's nice to hear that we managed to at least address this challenge. But I'm just wondering what was the success factors of addressing this challenge.
Very good. Thank you for the question. So there were certain emissions or certain gases that we used specifically in our cooling systems. If you have ever heard about CFCs or chlorofluorocarbons, it's a certain chemical compound that we used to produce. This was the main reason of the ozone layer depletion. So what this agreement said is that we want to move away, okay, from these emissions, and we want to use other forms of cooling material that doesn't deplete the ozone layer. And they made this agreement with penalties on any country that will use CFCs. And actually countries stopped, and all the industries and the private sector stopped. And what we see today is the ozone layer is starting to get refreshed again. So hopefully we can have a similar success story in climate and in the greenhouse gas emissions and the greenhouse effect when it comes to climate and when it comes to also the agreement that we reached in the Paris Agreement. But so far, when it comes to climate, we are not following the same track and we are not as successful as the Montreal Protocol. But again, it is a good and successful example that we can build on. Before moving to Muhammad, I would like to just tell you what's this screen. This is the QR. It's for my, it's like a virtual business card. I will be definitely happy to connect with you all. And it's a really nice session. I enjoyed it. From you guys, you're very active and you're also very knowledgeable and flexible. So I've given a lot of sessions similar to this one when it comes to introduction to climate change. But I'm really sure that I will remember this session for some time because I liked how you engage and the ideas that you shared with us. So thank you. So Muhammad, please go on.
I want to ask one question about climate justice. We in this session studied something relationship with climate justice, or what's the meaning of climate justice?
Very, very good question. So guys, notice we didn't cover climate justice today, but this is a very good question that Muhammad asked because it's also very important. So climate justice, what does it mean? it means that we shouldn't all be accountable for climate the same as everyone. For example, if we see the global emissions per country, if we see who made the most emissions, we will find out that almost 60% of the emissions globally of the whole world, it came from China and USA. 60%. When we see the emissions of all of Africa, it's less than 3%. 3%. All the 50 or like more than 50 countries in Africa, it's 3%. So imagine that you are talking to this country the same as this country. You are saying to USA, you should pay $1 billion, and you are saying, for example, to Nigeria, you should pay $1 billion. You're saying to Egypt, you should pay $1 billion. No, this is not just, right? ده مش عادل يعني. Therefore, it needs to take into account the responsibility that you have done. And there is a very, very important term that is used in the negotiations. It's called the common but different. I'm writing it to you down in the chat. Differentiated responsibility. It's a very smart term. CPRD. It's a very, very smart term, and it is used in negotiations. It means that we all have a responsibility towards climate. We should all act together in order to resolve this challenge, but we have different shares. We have different role to play. So this is when it comes to paying money. This is when it comes to receiving money. This is when it comes to being affected by climate. There is also needs to be justice, because if you are living in already a very hot region and the weather gets hotter, it's different from living, let's say, in Norway, and it gets hotter 1 or 2 degrees, right? So yeah, let's wrap up with the final question, because also we are very close to Guma prayer. Okay, so let's take this last question, and then you can feel free to send me on LinkedIn if you have any other questions. Okay, so Yusuf, please go on.
Okay, so I have a question that not indirect related to climate change. So as you know, like Donald Trump is now president of USA, and it has a lot policies against, like not against, but not along with climate change, and
it is against, yeah.
And some of them, like he reduce or يعني حجم من like Clean Water Act every time when he go. So how we can like achieve the goals of SDGs before 30, like how, I don't know, that's kind of hard, because USA, it's one of the main parts in that when this crisis is global, you know, that's not
true.
Yeah.
This is very good point. This is very, very good point, Yusuf. You know, guys, we can discuss about climate for like the whole day. There is many points that we can discuss. This is just a quick introduction, but this is a very good point. So if you relate to the example that we did earlier, all the countries pressed share, but then USA said greed, right? So this is what happened when Trump came. He did move away from the Paris Agreement. He did sign off from it. He said that I don't want to be part of Paris Agreement anymore, and I will not pay for climate. I will not do policies that agree with climate. And he's doing that because he wants to use the more cheap coal and fossil fuels, right?
Yeah.
So this is definitely not right. But today, as of today, there is already a lot of investments when it comes to renewable energy, when it comes to climate. So it's very hard to stop this change, but definitely the actions that one country does, like USA, which is the biggest emitter in the world, definitely makes things slower and makes the progress slower. So again, it's very good, and I encourage you to read a little bit more about it in some articles. But what I want to tell you is that as of last year, there was $5.8 trillion available financing or allocated financing for climate and for sustainability and for renewable energy. So there is already a big market, big economy for it. And even Trump, even USA cannot stop it today. but definitely it makes things slower and it moves in the other direction. So it's a very good question. And again, guys, because we have the Jum'ah prayer, Jum'ah Mubarakah عليكم جميعا إن شاء الله, يومكم جميل. So thank you so much,
Inshallah.
everyone, for attending and for
Hello,
being with
everyone.
us today. It has
Hello,
been a
Kariam.
pleasure, and I will give the room to Mr. Ahmed. Okay, Mr. Ahmed, Director of Climate Peace.
Hello,
Hello,
gang.
Kariam.
Thank you, Karim, to be with us today. I'm so happy to be with us today. We tried several times to be in one of our sessions, but it's okay today in our fellowship. Actually, I will invite you from now for next December event. All of them will come to Egypt to be with us in the fellowship. Actually, today you enrich my knowledge regarding to the climate change and the COP and so on. So regarding to the slides, for the people who asked us about that, we will return back to Karim to get approval from his side. Then we will do that and send everything for you through the email. Right now, we need all of you to open the camera, and I will ask my colleague Karim to just close the sharing to make everyone on the screen.
It is Jum'ah, Ahmad. Can we
Just
have it
for
for
a
another
second. We are sorry to make it on the Gomha time because we don't calculate the difference time regarding to the Gomha in several Arabic countries. Just we will open the camera for a second.
I mean, we are not wearing well. Understand me.
Yes.
Okay, but I am opening my Zoom and PC and I don't have camera, so that's kind
As
of
you love. If
okay.
anyone wants to open the camera, it's okay for us.
No, it's I would love, but I don't have camera on my PC. It's not laptop, it's personal PC. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
To make sure that you are in the process, we will have a next lecture on the Sunday from 6 to 7 p.m. Egypt time. We will send an email today for all of you containing all details. Then we will have another one on Monday. It will be under patronage of UNDP. Then we will have the next one in the same module in 9 of October. So we will send all of these details for all of you. So maybe I will say goodbye for all of you and be ready for the next lecture. And thank you, Karim, again, and thank you for all of you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Have a nice
Very
day.
much.
Bye
Nice to
bye.
meet you all.
يا
Goodbye.
كريم بجد السيشن كانت مفيدة قوي.
Thank you يا نور, شكرا. مبسوط إن أنت كنتي معانا النهاردة. باي.
شكرا كريم، والله يعني محاضرة جميلة جدا، والله ربنا يبارك لك.
شكرا.
Hassan, Karim, and Mr. Ahmed, and goodbye.
Ahmed. Thank you all of you. Thank you all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.